Keep Right with Ralph K. Ginorio. Ouroboros. Ouroboros is the legendary ancient serpent notable for always being depicted as a circle because the head is swallowing its own tail. Today's Democrat Party leadership has become Ouroboros. This is bad for the United States, it will not end well for them, and it shouldn't. Since 2000, when Al Gore became the Democrat nominee, party leaders have calculated that the energy of left-wing activists is the source of their electoral potency. Unlike Bill Clinton, who occasionally acted as a moderate Democrat by passing bipartisan measures like welfare reform and the 1994 crime bill, third millennium Democrats always favor the far-left faction of their party. This has transformed today's Democrat Party from being a liberal and reform-oriented center-left and recognizably American mainstream political party. Today's Democrats are at best a European-style social democratic party pushing statist solutions to every human problem. However, the activist heart of the contemporary Democrat coalition has embraced nothing less than wholesale communism, oriented towards destroying the United States Constitution, the American Republic, and all freedom that is at variance with their ideology. Each time that Al Gore, John Kerry, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, and Kamala Harris faced a choice between an evolutionary and moderate reform and some form of revolutionary socialism, they reliably chose the extreme leftist position. For over 25 years, the obsession of Democrat leaders has been to satisfy the base. This shift has alienated increasing numbers of moderates and apolitically reflexive Democrat voters. Despite this, with the help of a politicized education system, an agitprop media, and increasing numbers of welfare-bribed legal and illegal immigrants, their strategy of appeasing their most ardent Reds has paid rich dividends. It is now clear that even traditionally reliable, native-born, working-class men of all races are no longer welcome in the Democrat decision-making circles. The only remaining nationally prominent moderate Democrat is Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman. All others have been systematically purged because they did not demonstrate sufficient ideological reliability. Biden was so unconcerned about pandering to his base that he made clear that his choices for vice president and U.S. Supreme Court justice would exclusively be black women. This self-evidently racist and sexist selection process pleased leftists because it was the kind of bigotry they liked, the kind of bigotry that targets those from groups whom they designate as having been historically oppressive. Across corporate America, college campuses, woke churches, race and gender-swapped cultural icons, a politicized scientific establishment, and an LGBTQ mania for deconstructing individuality, family, and society, the left's bizarre agendas have been on full display. Democrat elites have been prominent in leading and abiding these efforts to do nothing less than destroy America. Past Democrats understood that they needed the support of middle America. Today's Democrats genuinely behave as if they have transcended any need to even like mainstream American culture. Where past Democrats would demand some pretense of objective journalism, today's Democrats require that media embrace messages that undermine social cohesion. For example, today's media has engaged in a witch hunt against an ICE agent who legitimately employed lethal force against a political agitator whose persistent actions endangered human lives. Pre-Vietnam era Democrats made partisan politics stop at the water's edge. Today's Democrats reflexively champion Venezuelan narco-tyrants, Palestinian terrorists, Iranian theocrats, Chinese communists, and anyone else whose ambition is to harm common people and demolish Western civilization. The last time that Democrats wholeheartedly endorsed American victory in war was when Hitler's tanks threatened Stalin's Moscow. Yesterday's Democrats helped to establish the GI Bill of Rights and many other social welfare programs intended to leverage federal power to help Americans overcome challenges in their everyday lives. Today's Democrats connive with Somali immigrants, among others, to exchange tens of billions of dollars for votes, and it goes well beyond Minnesota and even Maine. Past generations of Democrats worked to improve the lot of poor and working class Americans. Contemporary Democrats collude to import tens of millions of unassimilable third worlders in order to increase population in blue voting districts and eventually incorporate them as reliable Democrat voters. This dilutes the value of native-born American labor. Growing up, I was surrounded by idealistic Democrats who demanded nothing less than a totally unfettered freedom of expression. Now, today's Democrats and their allies in academe, culture, and media practice a censorious cancel culture so vicious that Senator Joseph R. McCarthy's legacy pales by comparison. President Harry S. Truman was once the Democrat ideal, an everyman president, and a damn good one too in many ways. Today's Democrats would decry him as being just one more patriarchal, cisgendered, colonist oppressor, white male who is unworthy of being anything other than a target for reparations. Past generations of Democrats would have distanced themselves from the shocking delusions embraced by today's Democrats. Today, Trump derangement syndrome has created an alternative reality of irrationality, where anyone who is not an extreme leftist Democrat is categorized as a fascist, an existential threat to our democracy that needs to be fought socially, legally, and even violently. Their febrile flights of fancy have stoked political murder and violence in the streets. Their leaders seem willing to start a civil war if they think that it will lead to a revolution which will produce a one-party dictatorship with them in charge. They would see our world burn if they could rule the ashes. None of this makes any sense. This is not your father's Democratic Party. Beware their contagious mental illness, the woke mind virus. Pray for a return to sanity among sincere, reform-minded Americans. Do not expect them to be capable of rational debate. Democrats today are not persuadable by any logic other than their own. If necessary, and may God forbid this, protect yourself from their violence and defend our republic from their irrationality. Do not let their Ouroboros swallow you into non-existence.